Hello. So today is going to be a very special video because instead of me trying to explain what real pornography addiction recovery sounds like and what it actually feels like and what it actually feels to go through, I want to share with you an interview I did with one of my clients that at the time of this recording, after I got done editing the video, is now 60 days free from pornography. And he'll be going through his biggest learning lessons, his biggest setbacks during these 60 days, and most importantly, what the road to recovery actually feels like. Other than that, enjoy.
I was scrolling through Instagram. I remembered that I have an old Instagram that I made during lockdown,
Mm-hmm.
and that had more like, I guess you could say, risque accounts. And
Really?
but I might just have to like outright delete the account and just start fresh. Scrolling to see is like, okay, body goals, risky body goals, stuff like that. And then I found an account whose body goals is similar to what I'm aiming for. And so I was like checking that out. And then I scrolled upon a video of them doing something provocative, and I noticed
Mm.
that I lingered on it a little too long.
And what did you, so after that video, when you linger on it too long, what did you do?
I exited Instagram.
Okay, really quick. And after you exited Instagram, did you do anything else?
After that, I made a mental note to go through the accounts that more inspiring rather than risque. I have to be like a little extra careful with who I follow. So I had to like determine for myself, is this worth following or is this like a potential priming?
Okay, yeah, we definitely have to decipher that. And when you say you were like lingering a little bit longer than you should have, how long was this whole ordeal? Like, how long did everything last where you were going through the pages and then looking at that certain video or a certain account?
I think the actual like scrolling and deleting and unfollowing was probably about a good 15, 20 minutes. But when I found the video, um, I think it was because it was the same person and I wasn't sure what they were doing until like it got to a certain position and then I realized what they were doing and I lingered on a little longer and then I realized what I was doing and then I closed the app.
And how long were you like lingering for?
This was like seconds. Like I've gotten pretty good at like stopping myself from watching surprises, so to
Mhm.
speak.
Did any like touching or rubbing or anything like that occur?
No, no, I didn't touch myself. I didn't undress myself. I didn't do anything. It was more so of like, oh, what's this? Oh, wait, you shouldn't be looking at this because they're doing this. And it's like, oh, right, yeah, like,
This is very good news. I mean, this is sounding like your higher self is able to like take action and step in front of the lower self before it gets out of hand.
mhm,
Because just to let you know, what you just described there, as long as you're on social media, really, and I'm not gonna ask you to delete all your social medias because I know it's gonna be difficult to do.
mhm,
But as long as you're on social media, that's gonna happen. It happens to me sometimes, and I just follow the same course of action that you did. You look at it, you're like, "Oh, this isn't just a gym video." You might look for like a second or two, and you're like, "Okay,
mhm,
not interested." Report, scroll past it, close the app. Let's just reset really quick. This is the sad part of social media. You know, the algorithm knows what gets the likes, and the algorithm knows what keeps people on the app. That's what it feeds
mhm.
us. But you did an amazing job.
I have to take the action necessary to, prevent this from being like a future thing.
So I think you made a really smart choice. And having like that cool down period, the rewiring process away from pornography is going to be tough. Like there's no easy way around it.
Mhm,
And what you did was you started the loop, and that loop usually ends with masturbation. That loop usually ends with you binging on pornography and then, you know, finishing. What you did, you started the loop, you logged into Twitter. Your brain doesn't know this, but you logged into Twitter to delete everything. So you started the loop, and then you just
mhm,
kind of stopped right here. So these old patterns are just kind of they're trying to get you to finish it, but you never did. That's why
mhm.
I highlight that lingering effect. But this is actually like I know I keep saying this, but this is showing really good signs of rewiring. because you were able to consciously stop the loop, and instead of going down this path like you usually did, you started going down another path. So yeah, it's gonna linger in your mind, but it sounds like your higher self is becoming in charge, which is perfect. So
Mhm.
let's go on to plan of action. So what's gonna be the plan of action moving forward from these accounts and just overall to make sure the lingering we minimize as much as we can.
I've been contemplating that, and I think my plan of action is what I was saying before. Figure out an idea, figure out which accounts that actually do inspire me to, to my fitness goals, and which accounts kind of tiptoe on that risque side. I've already begun doing it, even on my
Mhm.
my regular IG, because I realize I have some of that there as well. And I had to like unfollow people who I've been following for years.
Yep.
And these are people who like aren't necessarily bad people. They're just doing what they're doing. They're
Yep.
doing what gets them paid.
Yep.
And and some of them like are like have pretty good personalities, and
Yep.
in any other circumstances I probably would be cool with hanging out with them. But right now they are they are potential triggers to me. And I think that's the part that sucks the most.
Uh,
Although although it is a difficult decision because like you mentioned, I do think it's the right decision that you're making right now. Just for that reason. And something that Alex Ramosi says, who I take big inspiration from, he says it's not forever, but it's just for now. So
Yeah. Yeah,
So now that
that's
we're just doing the rewriting process,
we have to kind of deal with these hardships, deal with these tough decisions. Maybe in 6, 7, 8 months, when we're really wired, we can go back to just watching those content because whenever that trigger content comes up, we can just swipe past it.
mhm,
But it's not forever, just for now. This is a difficult decision that you're making, but I do feel it is the best decision for your goals right now.
I agree.
okay.
I agree.
Anything else you want to cover?
Not really much right now. The lingering parts has diminished significantly now. That's good to know that it's that feeling is fading quickly. So hopefully by the end of this week I'll feel like more of my current self rather than like hearing whispers and shit.
Again, you closing out the app that quickly shows very good signs. Have you been listening to the audio recently, or is it just over time? This is just kind of how you've been rewiring.
I think this is just more of an overtime thing. That first one was just sort of like almost like a launching pad. And I think for me is like I didn't want to feel that shame again afterwards. I didn't want to like go through all of that and then be done, and then suddenly the shame happens again and I realize, oh God, I just slipped up. Or
Mhm.
I didn't want to have that feeling. I didn't want to restart the clock. Being over 30 days, going on 40 days
Yeah.
soon,
You are going on 40 days, which is amazing.
I remember feeling really scattered and feeling really just desperate for anything, desperate for something. Whatever you got, I want to feel some control over my life again.
And you
So,
are. You're getting back in the driver's seat and actually controlling this shit. So this second part, I really just want to make it around two things.
mhm,
Your honest opinion. So no sugarcoating. I don't want you to be easy on me.
mhm.
Like truthfully, what you think I've done well and what you think I could do better for the next person. And then I just want to ask you about your journey so far. Okay?
yeah, like I think the overall program is simple enough for people to follow. So it feels like you are just having people like map out what they do currently and make small adjustments to fix that, which is essentially like part therapy, part coaching, but with action steps every day. I honestly think the trigger tracker was at some points the most annoying part to do,
Yeah.
but
100%.
probably the biggest game changer. It helped me honestly figure out the root of all of this. Something that I kind of had like a pretty general concept of, but this forced me to really like examine that and explore that and be like, okay, what caused this? You've got here. How did we get here? What were the steps that led you to this place? Yeah, like I think this is it's simple enough to where like the average person can do it every day if they commit, but not so complex that it feels so overwhelming to do. The overwhelming part might just be like the abstinence itself. A lot of the topics that you said are things that I actually knew, but I never made the connections on my own. I never made the connection to how this might relate to my addiction or how to use certain things that I already do or discover some things that I can do as tools to manage urges and to reset myself if an urge, pops up. Because I saw your ad on Facebook about, quitting porn, and I was immediately like, let me try this out because this was the first time I saw anyone offering anything like that.
Cool. So in terms of the data part of things, like the actual numbers part, before we started working together, do you remember how many times that you went to watch, pornography per week?
If I recall correctly, there was one point where I was doing it very compulsively, probably 3 to 4 times a week when it was when I wasn't trying to contain it, and then maybe about twice a week once I like started making like a schedule session for it.
I
Um,
remember that conversation. You like plan out times to like relieve and go through that. Yeah.
yeah, because I was doing it so compulsively, it was starting to interrupt everything else, and I was like, okay, but I don't have a full handle on this now, but let me at the very least make a space for this, so that way I can do all that in just this time frame. But even then, like it would be like it could be multiple times per day.
And how long were those sessions usually of like watching pornography?
Um, Anywhere between 2 to 6 hours. Um, I've even gone as far as like 8. In rare cases, I've gone like an entire night, like from when the sun set to sunrise.
Yeah.
Like I've done that. Not that wasn't always common, but
Rare
there
cases.
in rare cases when I was like especially triggered, especially horny, that would happen.
And I usually ask in the past 7 days, what are those numbers looking like now? But let's just keep it conservative. In the past like 35 days,
Hmm.
what are the numbers looking like?
Zero. I've done it exactly 0 times. Uh, I've had I've had very strong urges. I've had urges that felt unbearable, but um, I'm happy to say that I didn't give in to them. And a lot of that was through like the tools that you like kind of helped me realize that I already had. And I think that's the biggest thing. A lot of the tools that I was doing, I already had, but I wasn't focused specifically on this. Focused specifically on trying to abstain, trying to um, regulate myself, connecting my mind and my body, being more conscientious of my health, my mental health, my physical health. And it has forced me to take a hard look at different aspects of my life and change it.
That's amazing. Especially because I say this a lot of times, but pornography isn't the problem, right? It's just like the solution, big quotation. So you can use it for anything. So I'm glad that you're actually using it outside of what we're talking about. That's great. So besides the number, going from 3 or 4 times a week down to 0 times a week, what do you think has been like the biggest change internally for you, the mindset around this?
My outlook feels more positive. My outlook feels brighter. And I think even when I was watching porn, I think there was like this small part of me, was like, one day I'll stop, one day I'll quit, one day this will be behind me. And it's definitely a challenge every single day. It's no different than any mental battle that I've had before, but this one is, for better or for worse, one of my own making. And that's actually something that my friend wanted to harp on me. Is like, just like, please know that this isn't your fault. And I was like, I know this isn't my fault. I know this is something that happened to me. I know this is something that I fell into.
Your
And
brain was just trying to protect you from the hard times.
because I know a lot of people haven't been introduced to tools for regulating yourself, tools for managing your breathing, the concept of transmuting energy. Like, this is not something that people deal with or understand. They might have even a social media concept of it,
Right.
but not everyone has taken the time to put that into practice.
100%. They might have seen it on a reel and saved it for later because it was interesting, but
Hmm.
what part felt like hardest to follow over the course of the 40 days that we've been working together?
Abstaining itself, the abstinence itself was the hardest part, and I expected it as such too, because like you said, it's a loop, and because I was unaware of my triggers and my stressors, like, and how to deal with those urges, anytime I felt it, it would just be like a matter of time. It would be like a countdown. Now it's like I just have a better handle on things, and I have a better understanding of the power and the grip that I was under.
Is there anything you feel like I could do to support or change in the system to make it like easier to follow for you or easier to learn?
I'm actually hard pressed to think how easier it could be, to be
Okay.
honest, because even like with like my trigger tracker, it's like, you ask questions like, how many times did you have an urge? How many times did you win against the urge? What did you learn about it? What did you reflect about it? When, like, it's like these are very basic questions that cause you to reflect upon, your experiences, reflect upon your day, and requires you to be honest. And that might be the most hard part of
Just
anything
transparency.
is the transparency, because there are times where I was like, damn, I'm gonna have to tell Nate that. But it was one of those things where it's like I had to, if I really want to be serious about this, I have to be like, honest with myself and, serious with myself. And no, I don't think that I'd be hard pressed to find something simpler about this. I think the hardest part is the honesty, the accountability, and the abstinence. I think those are the three hardest parts of this whole journey.
Okay.
Like tracking everything and like sending it to you. You know, that's like 20 minutes. So
Tedious, but it gets the job done for sure.
tedious but necessary, which is part of my job description.
Getting
Yeah,
better
it's really.
tools.
I think it's a matter of like the person, your client, like, how accountable are they to themselves? Because you're offering the service, you know, it's their job to show up. And
100%.
I think the system you've created is simple enough to where, like, so long as you like can spare an hour a week, then yeah, I can't really think of it being, I can't really think of it being easier than that.
Just have three more important questions that I want to get through. Um, so the first one, if you had to choose one thing that I should never take away,
Mm, the tool set for handling urges. I think those concepts really got me out of some like tough jams and some really tough situations. And if anything, like, I would say to add writing to that tool set, because
Okay.
it helped me that one time where I couldn't handle how strong that urge was at the time.
second question,
Mhm.
Like when I reached out and said, "Hey, I want to help you out, become completely porn free." Like, were you skeptical about anything before we started, or like what concerns did you have?
Was a little shocked about, yeah, I was a little shocked about that because I even asked, it's like, wait, are you serious? Like, and I say that because I was kind of like, it was the fact that you believed in me. It was the fact that like you believed in my willingness to get through this, and that that to me spoke volumes about who you are as a person, about your character, and about why you're doing this. Because that told me that like this isn't just for the money. And yeah, this is, helping sustain, your lifestyle, but you're not just in it for the money. You are genuinely trying to help other people out here. You're genuinely trying to help other men overcome this because you have gone through it, you know what it's like, and you built a system to help other men. And granted, I've never been through other type of like um coaching quite like this. I've done therapy, but not like specific therapy, just general talk therapy.
Mm.
Um and yeah, like the system was pretty simple. Your concepts were easy to grasp. You explained it well enough to like to really get it. And most importantly, you weren't judgmental. You weren't shameful, and like, because I feel like even if I did have a slip or two during this whole thing, I didn't feel like you would shame me for that. I don't think that would have been like your thing. I think you would interrogate why I slipped or what led to me slipping, but
Mm.
I never felt like, I never felt I would have been punished for that. I never felt like I would have been seen as lesser for
Nice.
slipping, for falling into old vices. And I think that was like the biggest thing, is you created a space that, was and for honesty, for accountability, and without judgment. Because I think the last thing that we as recovering addicts want is judgment, because we do that enough ourselves. We
100%.
we feel that shame every time we finish, and that is hard enough to bear, much less coming from anyone else.
Oh, I'm glad that I could make you feel like that. That was my wholehearted intention. Um, so I'm really glad you feel it even through the Zoom screen. So that's amazing.
And thank you so much.
As of right now, what's your confidence level that in the next 30 days you're gonna sustain your freedom, not go back to the old habits as you were doing before?
Well, I've already made it past 30 days, and as long as that felt, I did it.
Mhm.
So I've already proven to myself that I can do at least 30 days. At this point, every day is a new goal.